how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
A man who rises above the ashes of hot takes.
What do you care what they say?
Easy for you to say they will love you.
It's just noise, man. You're really good at it. You might be great.
That man is Nick Kostos, and this is You Better You Bet.
If loving sports is wrong, I don't want to be right.
Where narratives are challenged and the truth is spoken.
I told you what was going to happen last week. If you didn't listen, that's on you.
This isn't talk, it's perspective.
It's not what you look at that matters. It's what you see.
This is You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
What's up, everybody? Happy and merry, magnificent Sports Monday to you and yours. This is You Better You Bet with the returning Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports, as we bring you the fastest show in all of sports. The show presented today and always by BetMGM. Make it legendary by downloading the BetMGM app and visiting BetMGM.com. And on this Monday, don't let anybody tell you that this week is the slowest week on the sports calendar, because there is, as per usual, a ton going on in the world of sports, and we will get to all the big stories, some of which happened while I was on a 2-week vacation. So we're going to get to everything that's happened in the last couple weeks over the course of this weekend here on You Better You Bet, including why the Philadelphia 76ers will be better this season than the Boston Celtics. The one move that the Cleveland Cavaliers must make if they sign LeBron James, and the one gigantic error made by NFL coaches, scouts, and executives in Jeremy Fowler's list that was released this morning, top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't have a tremendous beef with the list in its totality, but there is one thing about this list that sticks in my craw as a ball knower, as someone who knows the National Football League. I will tell you what it is, and my guess is you will agree with me. Our bets for tonight will close the show as per usual in the final hour in the Power Hour, Home Run Derby. Anyone want to sprinkle on New York Yankee Ben Rice to win the Home Run Derby? I might, as a Yankee fan. The phone number, 310-840-4910. And we are on YouTube, youtube.com/@thekostos. But we officially begin magnificent Sports Monday edition of You Better You Bet with me saying, I'm back for now. I'd love to take some more vacation in between now and the start of football season when this chair I'm sitting in right now, little known fact, I don't leave the chair once we're past Labor Day until Valentine's Day. I sit in this chair for, 5-6 months straight. So still hoping to take some vacation this summer, but it is great to be back in the saddle. I've been asked by people, hey, Nick, what did you do by people, I mean like members of the crew this morning. What did you do on your vacation? Let me paraphrase Peter Gibbons from Office Space. I did nothing, and it was everything I thought it could be. I basically lived my regular life, except I turned my brain off and didn't do the show for a couple weeks. Still watched a ton of sports, watched basically every World Cup game, just overdosing on the World Cup, in ecstasy watching the World Cup. It was a great 2 weeks off, great to recharge, got a nice tan, spent some time at the beach, absolutely love it, and I am ready to talk some sports today on this Monday with you. And let's begin with the World Cup. The semifinals are set. France and Spain tomorrow, England and Argentina on Wednesday. This tournament has been an absolute joy. And I choose the word joy specifically because that is the emotion that I have been filled with since this tournament started. And it's sad when you have days like yesterday and like today with no soccer. You get in that rhythm, right, where there's at least one game every single day. And this tournament has delivered from start to now. From the beginning all the way here to the semifinals. And just like in the last couple weeks, we've been treated to legendary games. 5-star bangers. Banger after banger. These will be games that won't just go down in World Cup lore, but great games in the history of sports, where 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, we will be talking about some of these games. Argentina, 3-2 against Cape Verde. A game that captured the hearts and minds of the world, with Cape Verde trying to pull the upset, trying to get it to penalties, and Argentina with a late escape in that game, which has been their want in this tournament. How about Argentina beating Egypt, coming from 2-0 down to beat Egypt 3-2? Questionable officiating in that game. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Portugal beating Croatia 2-1 was the stuff of legend. England going into Azteca and beating Mexico. How good was that game? This tournament has absolutely kicked ass. And every World Cup is good. Now, I love soccer. I think every international soccer tournament is great. But this tournament has been singular. With all the stars, the big names, the names on the marquee, showing up and showing out. And yes, we will get into the United States and whatever the hell it was that happened in that 4-1 loss against Belgium. But let's discuss this Final Four. This Final Four at the World Cup is legendary. Some are saying the best Final Four since February 1997, when WWE put on In Your House Final Four pay-per-view with Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, and Psycho Sid, rest in peace, in the main event. We're talking a Final Four with all 1 seeds if the 4 1 seeds were all legendary programs. You've got the 2 best teams in the world in France and Spain, and you have one of the great historical matchups in the history of sports, in the history of the world, with England and Argentina. Now, do I think the winner tomorrow of France and Spain is going to win the World Cup? Yes. And you should know I think that, because I talked about it before I went on vacation. I thought this would be the semifinal. I picked France. I think the winner of that game will win the World Cup. I've been talking about it on my social channels at the Kostos, TheKostos, while I've been on vacation. And we'll get to France and Spain, which is a heavyweight clash to end all heavyweight clashes. But we need to spend some time on England and Argentina, which is a game dripping, saturated by historical context. It's one of the great rivalries in sports. And given the fact that we haven't seen them play in a big international tournament in over 2 decades, play a massive game in over 2 decades, I think that's a fact that is lost on a lot of American sports fans. And it's not the fault of the American sports fan. We're locked in on football, we're locked in on basketball, and we're locked in on baseball and hockey and college sports, right? So when this stuff isn't right in our face, it can be easy to forget. That's why your old pal Nick Kostos is here. The living, breathing, walking sports encyclopedia, to share my knowledge with all of you. So, school doesn't start for another... Well, I feel like since I stopped going to school, it ends later and starts earlier. I feel bad for kids. So when does school start now? Like at the end of August, probably? In any event, school will be back at some point in the next 6 to 8 weeks. Let me give everybody an early history lesson before, if you're still in school, you actually sit down for history class. And let us go back to 1966. People will use the expression when they talk about England winning a major trophy at an international tournament. And what they will say is, it's coming home. And it's not the coming home, not that song, no. It's coming home. As sung probably by Oasis. People love what Wonderwall. Great song, by the way. Even my wife likes Wonderwall. She's getting in on it. Backbeat, the word is on the street that the fire in your eye is out. Great song. Fantastic song. They say it's coming home because it hasn't been home in a long time. Like the deadbeat dad that bounces and leaves the Dear John letter. England have not won a major trophy since 1966, when England hosted the World Cup. And all the way back, June 23rd, 1966, quarterfinal at Wembley, England beat Argentina 1-0. And this is a famous game because in this game, and I'm not going to get into the specifics here, but all you need to know is that this game was so crazy and so physical and the referees had so little control that game forced FIFA and soccer governing bodies to institute yellow and red cards. That's how crazy the game was. You can look it up if you don't believe me. So 1966, England beats Argentina 1-0 and goes on to win the World Cup. Again, the last major trophy that England have won. We fast forward now, 20 years later, and it is my sincere hope that you, as a big sports fan, because I always say, this show, you better you bet, whether I'm on vacation for 2 weeks or not, this is a show for huge sports fans, by huge sports fans. It is my sincere hope that even if you are not a soccer fan, that you will know what I am referencing right now. June 22nd, 1986, 40 years ago, in Mexico, at the Azteca. Do you love it? Argentina and England in the quarterfinals. Sound familiar? In that game, Argentina beats England 2-1 and goes on to win the World Cup. Led by the diminutive genius, one of the greatest footballers of all time, Messi before Messi, the late, great, psychotic, he's crazy, but a great player, Diego Maradona. And shortly after halftime, 0-0 heading into the half, Diego Maradona scores he scores two of the most famous goals in the history of soccer. One of them, though, was illegal. Because Diego Maradona, 5'5", skies up to try and get the ball past Peter Shilton, the towering English keeper, and literally with his hand bats the ball into the net. None of the referees see it. It's ruled a good goal for Argentina. We don't have VAR in 1986, right? And Argentina takes a 1-0 lead on an illegal goal. We'll get more on that in a second. A couple minutes later, Maradona would score what is called the goal of the century. And if you've never seen it, don't stop what you're doing now. Wait till the end of the segment. I appreciate you. Go on YouTube, go on social media, and find it. It's Diego Maradona getting the ball in midfield and dribbling through basically the entire England team and scoring a goal to put Argentina up 2-0. Argentina would go on to win the World Cup. And when asked about it after the game, the illegal goal that he scored to put Argentina up 1-0, Maradona said, it was the hand of God. The hand of God on an illegal handball. Could you imagine if that happened today? And we haven't even gotten, we're not going to get into it because it's a sports show, but England and Argentina in the Falklands involved literally in a war earlier in that decade, the 1980s, and Maradona rubbing salt in the wounds of England and of the English soccer team, basically saying that the hand of God was for that. Was for the Argentinian people, making him even more beloved in Argentina. Oh yeah, this is the good stuff. The hand of God. We can go 12 years later at the World Cup, and if you watch the David Beckham documentary on Netflix, you'll know what I'm talking about. England and Argentina in the quarterfinals. You ever heard that before? And in this game, coming out of halftime, it's 2-2. 18-year-old Michael Owen, remember him? For England, has scored a spectacular goal for the English. David Beckham, who had really begun his ascent to worldwide celebrity at that point, baited into kicking current manager at Atletico Madrid, then Argentine national team player, Diego Simeone. Red card, sent off. Argentina beats England in penalties. Now, 4 years later, England would get a small measure of revenge where I don't know, does anyone even know that this happened? Current American soccer coach Mauricio Pochettino gets called for a foul. David Beckham, questionable call. Beckham converts the penalty. England beats Argentina 1-0 in the group stage, sends England to the knockout round, and Argentina knocked out of the tournament. So yeah, this is an unbelievable rivalry. And they will renew pleasantries coming up on Wednesday with a berth in the final of the World Cup on the line. 24 years between big matches for these two countries. This would be like if the Cowboys and Packers didn't play a big game in 24 years. If Ohio State and Michigan didn't play a big game in 24 years. It's as good as it gets. And Argentina have the GOAT, Leo Messi. And Argentina have everybody saying the fix is in. And the referees will put Messi in the final. And FIFA will put Messi in the final. And I hear all of that. And I say, no. I was going to say a word that starts with B. I'll type it in the chat for everybody. It's a word that we can say here in America, but I think it's a bad word to say in England, so I'm not going to say it. But I say no. Our friends at BetMGM have the two qualify market obviously open for England and Argentina in the semifinal on Wednesday. Now, that takes into account not just the 90, but potential extra time and potential penalties. England is the favorite. Minus 125 at BetMGM. Argentina, even money, plus 100. And I love. Someone asked me this weekend, do you like England against Argentina? And I said, no. I don't like England against Argentina. I love England to beat Leo Messi, beat Julian Alvarez, and beat Argentina on Wednesday and advance to the World Cup final. Let's talk about Argentina. And I know everyone loves Argentina, right? They've got Leo Messi, big fan favorite team. Everybody is missing the boat on this Argentina team. This is not the 2022 Argentina team because people are calling me an Argentina hater. Do you remember? Wall Street Journal wrote about it. Literally, look it up. I'm in the Wall Street Journal in 2022. They asked me, hey, Nick, who's going to win the World Cup? My answer, Argentina. And at that point, because people have short memories, all the people that are saying now that everything's fixed for Leo Messi, do you remember? Do you recall? You probably don't, because you can't see the forest through the trees. Do you remember that Leo Messi almost retired from international football, almost left the Argentina national team because he couldn't win the big one and kept getting denied in the big spot? But all of a sudden now, this is Tom Brady and the New England Patriots? Give me a break. Give me a break. Stop it. And to anyone that wants to say the fix was in on Saturday night against Switzerland, look, I think Argentina got lucky in that game because Briel Imbrolo, the Swiss striker, who's on a yellow card, flops in insane fashion and gets a second yellow and gets sent off. Switzerland had equalized. They were on the front foot. I think Switzerland probably would have won the game. But of course they lose, playing against Argentina, down a man, for the next 60 minutes, including extra time. They lose that game 3-1. And I just think it's funny just to say this, that people like to selectively ignore rules. Like, well, it's the quarterfinal, so Imbrolo shouldn't have, it was a harsh decision by the referee because it's the quarterfinal. So, okay, because it's the quarterfinal of the World Cup, you can just break every single rule. You can dive, you can simulate, which is like the technical term for it. All good, no big deal. We're not going to send you off because it's an important game. Or you follow the rules. And when you're on a yellow, you don't commit an obvious yellow card worthy offense. So yeah, we can talk about the officiating in the Argentina-Egypt game, which was bogus. And we could even talk about the end of the Argentina-Cape Verde game, where I felt like Cape Verde got jobbed out of one more chance at the very end. Tight whistle by the referee there to blow it dead at extra time. This was not a bad call on Saturday night. Switzerland did it to themselves. And to use the 1997 WWE reference, FIFA didn't screw Switzerland. Switzerland screwed Switzerland. I don't know if that sentence has ever been said before. So Argentina, in my estimation, and maybe they would have won the game anyway. Were you watching it? Did you think that? Maybe a little lucky to beat the Swiss. Certainly had officiating on their side when they beat Egypt. And then took them 120 minutes to beat Cape Verde. Come on. This team's going to beat England? England's comeback against DR Congo with 2 world-class goals from Harry Kane. It's gotta be Kane. Oh, we are rife with WWE references this morning after vacation. How about going into the Azteca and beating Mexico? Yeah, no big deal, right? Like true road game, the toughest road game you could possibly imagine in soccer. Go into Azteca and win, and we're down a man and still won the game. And then the 2-1 win against Norway on Saturday to book a trip into the semifinals. And hear me when I say this. It's been a great World Cup for the stars. Leo Messi, Kylian Mbappe, Erling Haaland, and more. The best player in this World Cup. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. It's Jude. Jude Bellingham. A brace at the Azteca. Brace against Norway. He's been the best player at this World Cup. Singularly great performances by Jude. Argentina is not overcoming England. I don't think it's coming home because I think France will, or Spain, I think it'll be France, will win the final. But I very much expect revenge for the hand of God. Revenge for Simeone, Beckham, and the red card in 1998. England at BetMGM minus 125 to qualify for the final and beat Argentina coming up on Wednesday. Oh, are your juices flowing on this Monday morning? Mine are, and we are just getting started. We haven't gotten to the NBA. We got to talk about the Jaylen Brown trade, the Sixers this season, the Boston Celtics this season. We got to talk about LeBron James and this free agent tour that, will it end this week? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. The Minnesota Timberwolves trading for Lamelo Ball. ESPN's top 10 quarterback list that I've got a beef with. So much to do on this Monday. But on the other side, France and Spain tomorrow. And why France and Spain in the semis might as well be the Rams and the Seahawks in this year's NFC Championship game. You Bet rolls on a Monday. Nick Kostos back in the saddle with you on Westwood One Sports right after this.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
This segment on You Better You Bet sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com, progressivecommercial.com. Kylian Mbappe. What a World Cup it's been for him. And what a World Cup it's been for me, especially if France end up winning this whole shebang. Told you before the tournament, France was my pick. Bet France at BetMGM prior to the tournament starting. And BetMGM is your home to bet the World Cup. And I'll throw this out there now, even though it's not a scheduled read in the show. But I'll just say this to everybody. If you're betting the World Cup, and I know not everybody is, but if you are, and you're not betting at BetMGM, you're doing yourself a disservice. I have a buddy who bet Senegal against Belgium. Senegal were up 2-0 and blew it, obviously, and lose at the end of extra time 3-2 to Belgium, which turned out bad for the United States because Belgium destroyed USA. If you had bet Senegal at BetMGM, you would have won because BetMGM pays you out if your team takes a 2-goal lead. But you bet Senegal somewhere else, and you lose. And you lose. So if you're betting the World Cup, you're betting the semifinals, you should do it at BetMGM. And again, I love the price on England to qualify for the final against Argentina. Now, as far as the other semifinal goes, and I'm looking at what it is to qualify for the final. France minus 150, Spain plus 120. Now, I like France to beat Spain tomorrow. But I will say, if I'm being honest with everybody, and you know France was my pick to win the World Cup from the start, I have not been nervous one time about the French thus far in this tournament. I'm nervous for tomorrow's game. And my honest betting advice for everybody, if you're someone where price is very important, and that could be the case, and that's cool, I think you should bet Spain. Even if I think France is minus 150 to me feels a little too heavy on the French. Even if I think France is better, even if I think France are going to win, I look at that number and it makes my stomach a little queasy. I feel like the French may be getting a little too much love here in the betting market because Spain is tremendous. Again, even if I think France is the better team. As far as this semifinal matchup goes, tomorrow, France and Spain. This is basically Duke UNLV from back in the day. Have you ever seen some of the legendary clips of Pat Summerall, the late great Pat Summerall, narrating the opens to the NFC Championship games in the 1990s, the early 90s, with the Cowboys and the Niners? There is one really famous one prior to the 1994 title game, which is when the Niners finally beat the Cowboys. Steve Young monkey off the back. Niners win the Super Bowl. When Pat Summerall basically comes out and says, "This is the Super Bowl. Dallas and San Francisco." That's how I feel about France and Spain tomorrow. France and Spain tomorrow might as well be Arizona and Michigan, Final Four Saturday night a couple months ago, where I felt winner of that game wins the national championship. Remember Arizona? Good performance in that game against Michigan. This is, for all intents and purposes, the Rams and the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game this year. And that is slightly disrespectful to England and Argentina because I would say England and Argentina are both better equivalent to than the Patriots were heading into the Super Bowl back in February. But the point stands. These are the two best teams, France and Spain, and they are meeting in the semi-final round. And France has been incredible in this tournament. A deserved favorite tomorrow against Spain, and the deserved favorite to win the World Cup for the second time in 3 World Cups, and looking to become one of the only countries in history to go to 3 consecutive World Cup finals. This attacking trident that France possesses with Olise and Dembele and obviously Mbappe, it's embarrassing how good it is. The depth that the French team has is ridiculous. Do you remember when I said prior to the tournament starting that France's backups could make a deep run in this World Cup? Some of you told me I was nuts. How could you say that? They're backups. What? How do you like it now? What do you think? You watch the games? You don't think their backups are awesome? They don't miss a beat when guys are subbed out, when important players are subbed out. They just keep on rolling. They are unbelievable. And they're the best team. But I have to acknowledge, Spain's not far behind. And as someone who bet France to win this World Cup, Spain absolutely terrifies me. And I think about the European Championship a couple years ago. And if you recall, and yes, I am patting myself on the back a little bit here, but hey, I had Spain to win the Euros. You know that because you watch and listen to the show. I loved Spain in that game against France. Spain fell behind 1-0 early in the game, went up 2-1 by halftime, and basically choked the game out. And this Spanish team, that's what they do. They boa constrictor you. They take a lead, and they choke the life out of you. Now, Belgium gave them a game in the quarters. That was a close game. I thought it was a great performance by Belgium in that game against Spain. When Belgium scored to equalize against Spain, it was the first goal Spain allowed in this tournament. Now, I don't think Spain will beat France tomorrow, but let's just say Spain wins 1-0. Possible. And then Spain wins the final to 0, doesn't allow a goal. We're going to talk about Spain and this run like they're the 1985 Chicago Bears of soccer. The 2000 Baltimore Ravens of soccer. Like, that's the company that they could keep here. And Spain is looking to do 2/3 of what it did earlier this century, when Spain won the Euros in 2008, beat the Netherlands 1-0 in the 2010 World Cup final, and then won Euro 2012, 3 straight international tournaments. So Spain won Euro 2024, and now in the semifinals of World Cup 2026. But when it's all said and done, Mbappe, Olise, Dembele, and the French, like West Germany in 82, 86, and 90, losing to Italy and Argentina after the hand of God goal, losing to Italy and Argentina in 82 and 86, beating Argentina in the 1990 final, like Brazil in 94, 98, and 02, 94, beating Roberto Baggio in Italy in the final in the United States, losing in France to France in the 98 final as Zinedine Zidane and company 3-0, and then beating Oliver Kahn in Germany in the 2002 final. France will make it to 3 straight World Cup finals, and France will complete their Golden State Warriors arc. What do I mean by that? In 2018, when Kylian Mbappe exploded onto the scene and led France to a World Cup triumph, I remember being a little surprised. Now, I felt like France was awesome. They had gone to the European final in 2016 at home and lost to Cristiano Ronaldo and Portugal in the final. So it's not like France really snuck up on anybody, but I remember being shocked by how awesome France was in that 2018 World Cup. Kind of like, I was pretty surprised when Steph Curry and the Warriors not came out of nowhere in 2015 when Curry won his first MVP and the Warriors beat the Cavs in the NBA Finals to win their first championship. I was a little surprised by that outcome. In 2016, obviously the Cavs come back from 3-1 down with the old head, LeBron James, getting over the hump with Cleveland to win the championship. Much like France ran into the old head, Leo Messi, and Argentina in the 22 World Cup final in Qatar. And France lost that final. Then France added Kevin Durant in Olise, like the Warriors did heading into 17, when the Warriors got revenge, beat Cleveland in the NBA Finals, and won another championship. Now, I don't think France will beat Argentina in the final. I don't think we'll get a final rematch, but I think France finishes its Golden State Warriors arc here with the championship. Title, loss in the title, title. That's how this is going to go for the French. They will beat Spain tomorrow and advance to the World Cup final. On the other side, I have not yet given my opinions on Team USA and their performance against Belgium and all the hullabaloo and all the dramatics surrounding Christian Pulisic On the other side, we'll do that, and we'll start delving into the NBA as well. A lot of news there from the last couple weeks. You Better You Bet on a Monday on Westwood One Sports, presented by BetMGM.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Today, BetMGM players will receive an Any Sport Parlay Boost token. To use the Parlay Boost token, add a parlay wager to your bet slip and activate the token. Perhaps you'd like to parlay France and England in the World Cup semifinal. Perhaps I've already done that. And by perhaps, I have. If you win your wager that was made with the token, and I hope I win mine, you'll receive extra winnings because BetMGM is absolutely the best in the business. Download the BetMGM app today. And as always, please, 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 please gamble responsibly. All right. So while I was on vacation, the United States got annihilated by Belgium in the round of 16 in an embarrassing performance. There's no other way to put it. Belgium embarrassed the United States 4-1. And just to say this because, I kind of felt it in the moment when Belgium came from behind from 2-0 behind against Senegal late to equalize and then win the match in extra time. I felt like Senegal would have been a better opponent for Team USA, especially considering Team USA had beaten Senegal at a friendly, like in the month leading up to the World Cup, and Christian Pulisic had scored in that game. I felt like, bad luck for the U.S. that Belgium won that game. But if I'm being honest with everybody, and I was obviously rooting for America, I'm not going to be a homer. We can, and I tried never to be one, we can tell it like it is. Senegal would have beaten the United States. Hell, I went to Fordham. The Fordham soccer team is never going to be confused with Manchester United. I think the Fordham soccer team would have beaten Team USA with the way Team USA showed up and played in that game against Belgium. So I am not excusing the performance in any way, shape, or form. It was terrible. They were atrocious. They were pathetic. And I know that's a really harsh word, but is anyone going to argue with me on it? How bad they were? How embarrassing it was? Matt Freese looked like me playing goalie in like third grade. Like Youngway cooing the ball. What's going on here? Tim Ream at 38 years old might as well have a walker and a bag on his hip. What the hell was that? Like wheeling around in the box. He's atrocious. And you might say, well, it says more about the depth and the fact they don't have a better option. Maybe. Also, like, he stinks. That needs to be and great career, but he was terrible in the game. They were all terrible in the game, except for Malik Tillman, who scored that unbelievable free kick goal to equalize at 1-1. And then, of course, 61 seconds later, yada, 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 Belgium would take a 2-1 lead. Then Freese with the CYO error in the second half, and then Romelu Lukaku puts them away 4-1. And it was terrible. And it was brutal. And in the aftermath of that loss, which, to be fair, and everyone's right about this, it wasn't close. It was embarrassing. You would have really loved, a couple years ago against the Netherlands, United States lost, but at least the effort was better. When USA lost to Belgium in 2014 in the Tim Howard game, Chris Wondolowski missing a sitter in extra time that would have sent the USA through. Like, yeah, USA lost, and yeah, Belgium were the better team, but USA fought till the bitter end in that match against Belgium. This was not that. This was the USA lost the game before they even stepped onto the pitch. You could see it. And everyone said it after the game, and everybody's right. And this isn't an instance where a contrarian opinion is required. No, there's nothing else to say. They were defeated before the game even started. And it's obvious if you watched it. You bet on this Monday, Nick Kostos and you on Westwood One Sports. What I will push back on, though, while, again, think about everything I just said. So I'm agreeing with everybody. I'm agreeing with everybody that said all of that. There's no disagreeing, honestly. There's no disagreeing with it. It's like the sun came out today. Some hobo on the street after 3 old English 40s telling you the sun didn't come out today. You just keep walking because you see the sun's there, right? You know it's there. You know USA played terribly. I'm not going to argue that. But what I will argue is this idea that Team USA's World Cup was a failure and or a disappointment. Stop it. Let's have a real, honest conversation about American soccer. And I'm not going to, because candidly, I don't care. It's not for this show, and I'm guessing you don't care either. You, the listener, you, the viewer. About, and maybe I'll feel differently, my daughters too, if she's going to play soccer. Like maybe I'll feel differently when I have to shell out money, like a ton of money for her. I don't know. Maybe. But I don't want to talk about youth soccer and all that. And I'm not saying it's not a worthy conversation. It's just not one I'm interested in having at this moment. The conversation that I want to have surrounding American soccer is this idea that people expected America, like the expectation was for them to go to the Final Eight and like keep it close against Spain. Are you crazy? Are you nuts? If I had told you coming into this, and again, like, be honest. Be really honest. If I had told you coming into this tournament that USA would win its group, win a knockout stage game, and play under, and you can bring up 2002 and beating Portugal and beating Mexico 2-0 and then a really close loss against Germany. You can bring up 2002 and the results. I'm not talking about results. I'm talking about quality of play. The quality of play that the United States showed in this tournament for wide swaths of time is by far, if you actually watch, and it's fine if you haven't and you're a new soccer fan, that's great. I've watched. This is the best they've ever looked. It's not even close. And if anyone wants to tell you, well, in 2002 they did this, like I understand the results were better in 2002. I'm talking about the quality of football, of soccer that they played. It's not close. So those three things. One, quality, best it's ever been, period. Win the group, win a knockout stage game, and lose to a Belgium team that, by the way, pushed Spain harder, the reigning European champions, than they've been pushed in this tournament. And you want to call it a failure. What the hell did you expect? Like, it's amazing that game against Paraguay, which was unbelievable, beat Paraguay 4-1, and Paraguay, only lost 1-0 to France, and Paraguay beat Germany in the knockout stage, right? That 4-1 win by the United States against Paraguay broke so many of your brains. It broke your brains. Because you watched that game, and you thought, oh my God, we're going to make the semifinal. Can we actually win it on our home soil? And it's a great thought to have. And I'm never going to poop on optimism. But let's be real. It was never happening. They're not ready yet. And I don't know if Pochettino's coming back. I hope he is. I don't know if he is, though. They're not ready yet. This is an unbelievable result in the World Cup for the United States. Would I have liked to see the Belgium game be closer? Absolutely. It's a great result. And this young core of players with Balogun and Freeman and Richards and Adams and Tillman. What experience that this group gained in this World Cup. Now, as far as Christian Pulisic goes, a lot of the criticism that he's received, not great in this World Cup. Also, he's injured. But yeah, I can acknowledge, did not play well, didn't acquit himself well in the aftermath, and clearly has rubbed a lot of people in American soccer the wrong way. Look at what a lot of former players on the men's and women's side have said about Christian Pulisic, including Carly Lloyd, who was great on Fox. Christian Pulisic is 27 years old. He's the best player on the team. Now, maybe you hear that and say, well, they'll never win. Or you could look at this and say, and I don't know how it's going to turn out. I'm not making a prediction. I'm just saying, is it possible that Christian Pulisic takes these next 4 years and turns it around and matures? And if that happens, with the experience they gained, why can't Team USA be even better in 2030 than they were in 2026? Hour one done, hour two for you coming up on the other side. We will start hour number two talking NBA with our good friend Matt Moore here on Westwood One Sports.
are on You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos.
Hey, this is Joe Buck, and you have done it. You have found it. You are listening to You Better You Bet. Great decision.
This is Bob Costas, not Kostos, but you are listening to Nick Kostos on You Better You Bet.
Hi, this is Kevin Harlan of CBS, Westwood One, and TNT, and I'm listening, as you do every day, to You Better You Bet with the most handsome single man in the radio business. A man who, if I was not married for 38 years, I might consider myself the kind of guy that can electrify a listening audience and a crowd of bystanders watching him do what he does so well each and every day. Continue to listen right here on You Better You Bet.
This is You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports, brought to you by BetMGM.
The magnificent Sports Monday edition of You Better You Bet rolls on. Nick Kostos, our crew, which now includes the great Laura Jimenez. Did I pronounce that correctly? I think I did. And you, here on Westwood One Sports. First hour was amazing. Back in the saddle after 2 weeks off. All World Cup. England, Argentina, dripping with history. And I think England get revenge for 86, the hand of God. 98, Simeone, Beckham in the red card. I love England to beat Argentina in the World Cup semifinal on Wednesday. And tomorrow, France and Spain, semifinal. Might as well be Rams Seahawks in the NFC Championship game this year. Might as well be Arizona Michigan, Final Four Saturday night this year. Might as well be the Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs in this year's Western Conference Final. Oh, wait. Remember when the Knicks won the championship? I do. That was really awesome, and I thought a lot about it on my vacation. You absolutely love it. But I do think France-Spain tomorrow, the semifinal, that's the World Cup final. Winner of that game wins the World Cup, and I believe it will be the French. Allez les Bleus. Go France tomorrow against Spain. And I told you why. I think all the people that are saying Team USA is a failure for their performance in the World Cup, they're wrong, and wrong in a big way. Friend of the show, Anthony DeBundo from The Ringer, will join us later this hour to talk all things World Cup, and I will get into all things NBA a little later in the program as well. But joining us right now to talk NBA. Did anything happen while I was gone? Only everything. Joining us now to discuss, friend of the show, the great Matt Moore, Action Network, Locked On NBA, Buckets Podcast, on Twitter at HP Basketball, and there is the link where you can find his awesome Substack writing about all things NBA. Matt, welcome back to the show. How's it going, my man?
It's going well, man. How are you? How was your vacation?
I've used this quote a couple times. You ever seen the movie Office Space?
Mm-hmm.
I did nothing, and it was everything I ever thought it could be. It was hung out with my family. It was spectacular. Thank you very much for asking. Let's talk some NBA. I want to get to Summer League a little later because I think that's been fascinating because all the top rookies have been. Bonds has been. How about Caleb Wilson with 35 the other night? But we got to start with Jaylen Brown. And I know it happened 12 days ago, but this is my first show back, and I want to get into a conversation with you about this and your thoughts on the Jaylen Brown trade, and we will hit it from a bunch of different angles. But when you saw that 12 days ago on July 1st, your reaction was what and why?
Sorry, you broke up there, but what's the topic?
Jaylen Brown gets traded 12 days ago to the Philadelphia 76ers.
The biggest story of the summer. Gotcha.
Your reaction was what and why?
My reaction was, that's it for him? Everyone had the same reaction, which is like, no one was surprised Jaylen Brown got traded. Like, I've talked about this for a couple months on Buckets and on Locked On NBA about how, like, the rumors were loud enough that I heard that my understanding is that I think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown came to a point where it was clear that they were okay with not playing together anymore. I don't think it was like this big personal blow up. I don't think they have like beef. I just think that they were ready to not work together anymore. And I think Jaylen Brown made it pretty clear, comments on streams, etc., that he feels like he is being disrespected as just being considered as like a Robin or a number two or a B guy. He doesn't think that anymore. So I wasn't surprised that the Celtics moved on from him. You know, the aftermath is talked about, well, it's the finances, well, it's the CBA. And I'm like, I think those things played a part. I think if it wasn't for the CBA and the second aprons, that the Celtics are likely looking at this and being like, look, we got to try and make this work for a little bit longer. He's too good. That just pushed them out the door. Moving for Paul George and those picks, though, is like, I mean, I think it's scary for every other team that has a second star that they paid who isn't a top 5 player. Because now you're like, man, we can't, they can't move Jaylen Brown for more than this, what can we move? If you're the Nuggets with Jamal Murray, if you're any number of other teams that have like these B guys, if you're the Magic with Franz Wagner or Paolo Banchero, like if you have to move one of those guys, what does that look like? It's pretty scary, honestly, to take a look at what the Celtics got for Jaylen Brown and realize that that's the market for guys that are paid like number ones who are not. And that's really the reality of where we're at.
I want to go off the path here for a second because the team that I thought of, Matt, when you said that, and you're 100% right, is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Mm-hmm. And SGA is obviously the star of that team, but J-Dub's making a ton of money, Chet's making a ton of money, and I don't think anyone would say Chet and J-Dub are great players. Neither guy's a top 5 option, probably not a top 10 option. Is OKC going to be in some financial difficulty moving forward here? And then we can get back on track with Jaylen.
Yeah, so I think they've planned for this pretty meticulously. Presti was on the competition committee that helped like have outline a lot of the things that went into the CBA, so like he understands it pretty well. But I also think that I don't think they'll keep J-Dub. I've always kind of thought J-Dub was going to be the one that went. Now his career is kind of like shaken a little bit because of the injury. He's going to have like a really breakout year. But I think it's more likely that he has a year where it's like, all right, he's so good that he's going to want his own team and they don't want to pay it. I think they keep Chet because it's Shea for the offense, Chet for the defense. I think that's a solid foundation. If Jaylen were a specialist on defense, it makes a lot more sense, but he's not. He's a little bit redundant next to Tatum. And so that differential there, I think, really matters with him. But I don't expect Jalen Williams to be on the Thunder after 4 years.
The part about the Jaylen Brown trade, and there are many parts of it that are utterly mystifying to me. But the thing that I think has mystified me to the greatest extent and has actually caused me some anger on my vacation, which is bad. You want to be able to chill and like calm it down on the vacation, right? But I think the thing that has caused me the agita and angst on my vacation was this idea that Jaylen Brown is actually bad. That Jaylen Brown is actually not a good basketball player. And that analytics say that Jaylen Brown, and look, some of this, you could take it with a grain of salt to some degree, right? That he's like the 70th best player in the NBA. I don't think anyone actually thinks that. But this idea that Jaylen Brown's actually bad at basketball. And Matt, like you're someone who thinks about things both through an analytical lens, but also you watch a ton of games. I watch a ton of games. Like you can't tell me that this guy's not great at basketball and not a top player in the NBA. Where do you come down on all of this? I think it's nonsense with analytics and Jaylen Brown in the wake of this trade.
So the part that you didn't mention there is a contract. That's the problem. It's not about Jaylen Brown. No, seventh best player.
Can we separate the contract from it? Because you're right, but can we separate the contract and just talk about on court? Forget about the contract. This idea that Jaylen Brown's not that good because the analytics say he's not that good.
So there's a difference there, though. You said not good and not that good, and that differential is really important. There is that, and like that's why you can't get past the contract because it's like you can be not that good and still be like a major part of a winning team. You could be not an elite top 10 player and still be a huge part of a winning franchise. Like you can win titles. Like no one thinks Jalen Brunson's a top 5 player. No one thinks Jalen Brunson's a top 5 player in the league. If you do, you're Knicks. If you're a Knicks fan, that's fine. You're on top of the world. You're on top of the world. You get to do that. You get to do that for another couple months at least. But
give you months.
That's it. I'm only giving you the start of the season for that. You get to celebrate the championship forever. But like, it's about being that good is the question here. And the conversation then starts skewing because then it's like, well, look, the analytics have some things right. So here's like a data point. And then it's like, oh, so you don't think he's good at all. And it's like, well, no, that's not really what is said. Jaylen Brown, I would agree, is a little bit underrated at this point, just from there's things that he does that some of the metrics won't capture correctly. If you're good enough to be finals MVP, and he was the most, I thought he had the best season of anybody in 24. It wasn't just the conference finals and finals. Like he fit into that team, but that was also in part because Jason Tatum sacrificed a lot on that 24 team to make that work so they could win a title. Brown's great. He's awesome. He's really awesome. There are just things about his game that don't translate as a number one option. Like, that's kind of the question here. Let's remove the contract because you want to. I think it's hard to in this context, but let's do it. Let's say the Celtics were like, all right, Jason, we love you, but you're coming off an Achilles, and we actually just think Jaylen's the better player. We need you to slide into a number 2 role. Brown would be less effective than Tatum as the number 1 role because he's more turnover prone. He makes worse decisions, and his shots are worth less. Like, he just doesn't take as many threes. He's less efficient. Again, these things matter because you need to be able to create buckets sometimes, and Brown's really good at that, and he's gotten better as a defender.
56 games, and I agree with you. I think Tatum's better. If you made me choose one, I would take Tatum. But like Brown he just did it. No,
they did not just like, man, you didn't watch the Celtics and go like, man, thank God for Jaylen Brown. There's no way they win that game without him. You're just like, God, the Celtics are awesome, and Jaylen's having an amazing year. Like, they went into that season last year. I talked to John Corrales, who does Locked On Celtics, and he was like, they're going to have one of the worst defenses in the NBA. They have no centers. They were a top 5 defense. They just like made Neemias Queta into an elite rim protector. Everyone stepped up. The Celtics' organizational strength, basketball-wise, is so good. I'm not saying Jaylen Brown's a system player. I'm saying that when people use the line, they won 56 games. It's like, yeah, he gets credit for being part of that, but you did not watch the Celtics and were like, oh man, they are only good because of Jaylen Brown. He dragged them there. That's not how it felt watching them.
Who will have more wins? You know what? I'll phrase the question this way, as opposed to regular season wins. When it's all said and done, which team will have the better season in totality, including playoffs, and why? The Boston Celtics or the Philadelphia 76ers?
I'll say Celtics. Their floor is so high. You know,
we'll go mano y mano on this one. I'll take the Sixers.
Go for it.
You're right. The floor is higher for Boston than it is for Philly, but I think the ceiling's higher for the Sixers than it is for the Celtics.
Look, if you tell me Embiid's going to play 60 games, then sure. Like that changes the equation.
I'm not gonna tell you that.
You're not going to tell me that. The problem was,
I mean, I could, but I'm not going to.
And the problem is really just like, look at it this way. They were a play-in team, right? The Sixers were a play-in team. How many wins is Jaylen Brown worth? And you could be like, you can reject the idea that he's worth 0, but that doesn't mean that you think he's worth 10.
He's going to play 78 games, right? Whereas Paul George gets suspended for a quarter of the season or the third of the season.
Sure, but that's like Paul's first major suspension, I would also note.
That's true, but it did happen.
And again, like, he's way better than Paul George. I'm not trying to argue that. I do kind of look at it and go, the results of it in totality last year indicated that without Jason Tatum, the Celtics were still the 2 seed. And that with Embiid playing for a chunk of the year, the Sixers were still a play-in team. And adding Jaylen Brown, I can't get to a point where they jump 15 wins because of adding Jaylen Brown. Maybe it all comes together for them, though. I wouldn't be surprised.
Who do you like in the playoffs more, assuming health? Which is the big assumption, and I understand that.
No, Philly. It's Philly, for sure. That's the problem is like Brown's ability actually really does parlay to the playoffs better than it does a regular season because you need guys that can make a tough bucket. You need guys that can hit pull-up shots off the dribble that are just that you don't have to run plays for, that you don't have to run sets for, that can get schemed and scouted. Jaylen Brown can just go out there and make buckets. Like, he could just make stuff happen. And with Tyrese Maxey, who I thought was worthy of first team All NBA consideration. I thought about him for that 5th spot on All NBA first team. That throw in Embiid. I worry about Maxey getting lost in the sauce here a little bit with Brown and Embiid, but in general, yeah, the team is stacked. VJ Edgecombe year better. Like, they are awesome. I love the Sixers team. If they trade Joel Embiid tomorrow, just because of the injury stuff, not because of Embiid, if they trade Joel Embiid tomorrow, I would be all in on the Sixers. Then I would be all in on the Sixers being better than the Celtics.
Yeah, it just feels like that. Who's taking that contract? Feels like the Sixers are probably stuck with him for quite some time. You bet on. What do you got for us?
Oh, just there. I can't confirm which teams. I will say that I know that there are 2 teams that have had conversations, at least about the idea of it, and you should be surprised. The Sixers have called everyone calls everyone about everyone, and they just try and protect what they've had the conversations for. But I do think that there have been conversations about Joel Embiid.
Let's say that the Sixers traded Joel Embiid this week. How many picks are they attaching to that trade to make a team want to take him? And like just for the people in the audience that don't know, like they're like, why would that be the case? Because Embiid's injury history and because of how much money he makes and how long his contract is for. They're going to have to attach something to the trade to make someone, even if we all think Embiid's great and he won MVP a couple years ago, you agree with that, right? Like if they trade him, they're going to have to trade what assets do they have to even move him? Am I wrong about that?
You're not wrong. I do think that with cases like Embiid, so here's another situation with Brown. There wasn't a team that was desperate for Jaylen Brown. There wasn't a franchise where it was like, this is what's missing. This is what we need. Or the ship is going down. We need a lifeboat and Jaylen Brown's what's going to save us. And that's not about how good Jaylen Brown is. It's just about like Jaylen Brown's type of player. There are definitely franchises that will look at it and be like, look, I know he's hurt. But if there are definitely those franchises, I think there are definitely franchises that have assets that are depreciating, that aren't getting better, that are low value, that if they're like, if you'll take this, sure, we'll swap one problem for another is a pretty common thing in the NBA.
Can you give me an example of what you're talking about?
This would never happen.
Create a hypothetical. With that, I'm not holding your feet to the fire. Just like a hypothetical.
Yeah, this is entirely speculative. Embiid to the Sacramento Kings for Zach LaVine, along with like other pieces.
Can we place like that'd be horrible.
Yeah, it'd be horrible for everyone.
It would be horrible for everyone.
Yeah, my point is more about the assets. There are a couple of teams I think in the contender tier. Here's another one that I can like speculatively add. Dallas.
That makes all the sense in the world. Yeah. If Dallas wanted to do that, that would make a ton of sense, right?
Right. Where, Flag is good enough. You're still building around him. You've added a bunch of these pieces, and you're able to get Embiid. If you're only sending some veteran role players, if it's Daniel Gafford along with Najee Marshall or PJ Washington, those level of contracts in exchange for Embiid, and you've got Flag and Embiid and Kyrie, and you're like, yeah, we want to take things slow with Flag, but this is a chance for us to like really kind of push it. And when Embiid's out, Flag's going to be the one that's still the engine of the team. That makes a lot of sense.
I know it's Summer League. I know. Perez Johnson, pretty good so far for the Dallas Mavericks. Pretty good. You bet on this Monday. Nick Kostos and you, Westwood One Sports, joined by our friend Matt Moore from the Action Network on Twitter at HP Basketball. Matt, where's LeBron James going to sign and when's it going to happen?
Cavs, I'll say the next 10 days. I don't know when he's going to get done with vacation. I got to applaud LeBron for just being...
He's the best. He really is.
Everyone else is annoyed, and I'm like, I love it because he's just like...
I do too.
He's like, why would I be on your timeline? I'm 42. I'm not going to rush things.
So this is the most dead week of the year in sports. Please drag this out. Drag this out, LeBron. Yeah. Please.
Yeah, so I think it's Cleveland. I think there's been a lot of indications it's Cleveland. I actually kind of think it's always been Cleveland. I think all of this stuff has been telegraphed weird. Now, I don't know about the Sixers stuff because I personally can't get to a spot where I'm like, really? He thinks that's the spot? There's no... When you listen to the comments from Rich Paul, it's not about where he can win a championship, and it's not even necessarily about the best basketball fit. You can tell that it's about what feels right. What's like the narrative fit for him. And that's where Golden State makes sense because it's like you team up with your rivals for one last run with the great players of this generation. I hate that idea because you should not end your career with your biggest rivals on their team. But Cleveland makes the most sense. Like I've asked everybody, when he does that final chalk toss for the last regular season game, when he does the final chalk toss of his career before a game, because he'll bring it back. Where do you see that happening? Do you see it happening in San Francisco at that arena, or do you see it in Cleveland with the billboard outside that says, instead of "we are all witnesses," it's a big one that says "we were all witnesses"
or like, witnessed?
Yeah,
I don't know what's better.
That's even better.
Is that better? Yeah, it's not bad.
I think it's better. Witnessed, like, he does the chalk toss. There's the iconic image, and you put him side by side with him as a rookie, and then him as the 42-year-old man doing it for the last time. It's perfect. It's perfect. I get chills thinking about it. Miami is more of like, yeah, no, I like the weather too much in LA. I can't go back. Because, I just think the Heat are too far away. They're not good. They're honestly not good enough right now for LeBron. The Cavs, look, I don't think the Cavs are going to win the title because I think James Harden is it's too much of an impediment with the contract they're going to give him. But I do think that Cleveland has always made the most sense. I like the idea of him going to Minnesota because that is him paying it forward and being like, I am going to be here and pay it forward to Anthony Edwards and show him how to win at the highest level. He's made the conference finals, but I'm going to help him because nobody did that for me and I want to do that for him.
Honestly, I would love that. I'd like that more for LaMelo Ball than I would for him. And I'll talk about that trade a little later in the show. But let's just, because we're running out of time here, 2 minutes to go. 2 questions on LeBron in Cleveland. You kind of answered the first one already, but I want to ask the question. Because I said on this show, I think the Knicks would have still won the series. And I think that's kind of been proven out since they won the championship. Let's say you had replaced James Harden with LeBron James for that series. I think the Knicks still win, but there's no way the Knicks sweep. Like the Cavs would have won game 1. I was there at Madison Square Garden, right? Who knows how it goes? Let's say the Cavs sign LeBron James. What happens with James Harden? Because he has to come off the bench, right? Harden does. 30 seconds on this.
No, it's going to be Mitchell and Garland. It's going to be Mitchell and Harden, and then LeBron and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen is what.
Who handles the ball?
Donovan Mitchell and James Harden.
So what does LeBron do?
LeBron, the same thing he did last year. Last year was Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. This is Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. And I mean, a lot of it's like bringing the ball up and handling all the time. It does wear you down. So LeBron will handle a lot in the second unit. Maybe he takes away some of the possessions so Harden doesn't gas himself out doing Harden ball all the time. That's like an optimistic view of it. But yeah, I mean, that's the plan. There's no like coming off the bench. That's going to be the starting 5. I think that's one of the reasons they let Dean Wade go, was like for them to transition into this kind of a setup with LeBron. So yeah, I think he absolutely starts, and it's just he's the third player on that team.
And I forgot to mention, Dean Wade is part of the resurgent, the new look Philadelphia 76ers, obviously. Final question. Let's say the Cavs sign LeBron. Yeah. What month do they fire Kenny Atkinson?
That's a good question. I think they'll wait.
What's the percent chance that Kenny Atkinson's the coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers game 1 of the playoffs if they sign LeBron?
Ooh, I would say 70%. There's a 30% chance he gets fired in season.
Oh man, yeah? way higher than that in my estimation.
I know. You hate that guy now.
I don't hate him. I mean, he was horrible against my Knicks. I love him.
Yeah,
he should have been on the float next to Jaylen Brunson and Mike Brown at the parade. He was great. Just like you can't say the stuff that he says. It's just a little ridiculous. And I think LeBron's going to be like, get this dude the hell out of here. My final season in Cleveland. What's David Blatt doing? Matt, great job. There's so much for us to talk about, and we spent 22 minutes talking about a lot of fun stuff. So I will bid you adieu for now, and we'll catch up soon at HP Basketball on Twitter, Action Network, Locked On NBA, Buckets Podcast. Thank you very much, and if you're so inclined, I will be saying something about the National Football League later that I know you will enjoy, my friend. Thank you for the visit.
I'll be listening, man. Take care.
Our friend Matt Moore joining us here on You Better You Bet. We will take a quick break, and on the other side, he's everywhere. Some people talk Kylian Mbappe, Erling Haaland, Leo Messi, Jude Bellingham as the star of this World Cup. They are wrong. It's our friend Anthony DeBundo from The Ringer. He'll join me next on Westwood One Sports.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
So who is this? This Lil Kim, right? The Bentleys, the Benz, Escalades, 23-inch rims. Who is this song? Yeah, it is Lil Kim. Yeah, I got that right. Yeah. Anyway, 1% of the audience knows that. I don't know. This segment on You Better You Bet, sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. East Coast, West Coast, worldwide. Joining us right now, we might start calling him Worldwide Anthony DeBundo. My guy's everywhere, including, like, I said to Bill yesterday when we were talking on the phone, I was like, how many times did DeBundo come on the show while I was on vacation? Like 8. We appreciate your dedication to the cause, my friend. Doing an awesome job with our friends at The Ringer, covering the World Cup and all things sports. What's going on, buddy? Happy semifinal week to you and yours.
Well, you had JJ filling in for you. Got to support my guy. Got to come on, do some soccer, and always during the Mundial. You know, we don't take vacations during the World Cup here on this end of the show. So I had to give you crap for that one.
I did get a text from DeBundo like the first day of my vacation. Like, how are you taking off during the World Cup? I said, because I would like to survive football season. That's why.
I get it. You have bigger fish to fry than the World Cup. But you know what? You're here for the business end. It's semifinal Tuesday and Wednesday. We've got the 4 best teams, maybe, I think, playing each other. The 4 most compelling teams, certainly, throughout this tournament. And you know what? Cape Verde, Switzerland, Colombia. We had fun with those teams. But now, let's be real. Like, this is what we want to see, right?
Put this Final Four in perspective for everybody and how good it is.
It is very rare that you don't have a gate crasher, right? Almost certainly in the last few World Cups. You go back 4 years ago, we had Morocco and Croatia in the semifinals, and it made for, a little bit of a coronation of France and Argentina as they rolled their way into the final, and everybody kind of knew, okay, it's just going to be France and Argentina. We've seen, 8 years ago when Croatia pulled off the upset against England, that we've seen, semifinals that haven't always lived up to the hype. You go back to Netherlands, Argentina, who played out a terribly boring 0-0 in 2014. So just because you get big teams doesn't always mean you're going to get a great match. But I find it hard to see a world where these are not two really compelling, evenly matched matchups. And like I was doing my numbers on this, I have England at 54%, and I have Spain at 51% roughly to win these. So like everything is on the table in these semifinals.
Let's talk about the betting market for the Spain-France game coming up tomorrow. Now, and it feels like you and I always go head-to-head in these international tournaments when we get down towards the end. So I've been a France guy from the start. You've been to Spain. We won't have to talk about the fact that I had Spain in Euros and you had the Dutch. We don't have to talk about that. But we will go mano-a-mano again here with France versus Spain. And I've been on France the whole tournament, the only team I bet to win it. At BetMGM right now, when you were talking about another domestic sports book off air that we don't have to mention because BetMGM sponsors the show, where France is an even bigger price against Spain. And at BetMGM, France is minus 150, and I think France is going to win, DeBundo, but that feels really rich to me, where I think this is close to a coin flip. And based on your numbers, you agree here, right? So, like, betting advice, I guess, is to bet Spain in this game, no?
The tail of the tape is fun for a matchup like this because, look, schedules have been relatively even now. I'd argue, actually, with playing Portugal and Belgium, who, aren't exactly teams I was high on personally, but teams that the market rates highly. Spain had to play, a tougher round of 16 opponent and a tougher quarterfinal opponent once you factor in that Morocco had a few key injuries there. So once you factor in the whole schedule, it comes out pretty much in the wash. France, expected goal difference, plus 10.5. Spain, plus 9.9. Those two numbers are so comparable and basically even over the course of 6 matches that you really couldn't draw a meaningful conclusion from it. You look at whose defense has been better. You would say Spain. France has been incredible in the knockouts, but had some cracks in the group stage, again, against some of the better attacking teams they played. So you're like, okay, who's created more big chances? Well, France. And I think that's why there's a perception that France has been the better team in this tournament because they've been the sexier team. They scored and won by more margin. However, I'll make the case that like France winning, whether you beat Paraguay by 3 or 1 or Sweden, doesn't really matter once you get down to playing the best teams because these games are not going to be decided by super wide margins. And Spain has kind of built their tournament around prioritizing the fact that if we literally never concede, we can't lose. And that's been the case. And they have had a couple of games, certainly, where they've looked a little sluggish in attack, relied on some late goals, but they've been in such control of these games, they've never actually been in doubt. So just because the scorelines aren't as sexy doesn't make Spain a worse team. Now, the other thing, and this is the reason I think the market sees what has gradually moved toward France, is that Lamine Yamal is not playing right now at the level that Kylian Mbappe and Michael Olise are playing at. So you're naturally going to say, well, who do we think can be a match winner in an even game? You would definitely draft France's players first, and so that's why France is the favorite.
If Spain win tomorrow, I know you think Spain's going to win, and I like France, but I'm not like Spain could easily win this game. If Spain wins, how does it happen?
It happens with the boa constrictor Spanish possession, the old school classic that they've been able to pull off. And look, like these two teams have played the last 2 years. I know like the World Cup hasn't happened in many, many years, but in 2024 at the Euro semifinal, we loved Spain right in that game against France, and they rolled them. I mean, it was a 2-1 win, but the second half of the game, Spain playing with a lead had 61% of the ball and basically said, we keep the ball, you can't get it off of us. And then in the Nations League, France did make some changes. They went with a more aggressive lineup, and Spain said, oh, okay, nice, we were going to score 5 goals. Now, Spain is not operating right now at the level, attack-wise, that they were at those two tournaments. That is certainly true. Yamal and Williams. Williams is barely playing. He's probably going to play like 30 minutes off the bench here. Yamal is playing full 90s, but looks like to me he's at like 85%, and he's not looking like he's explosive. But some of the lacking explosiveness of Lamine is also a function of the fact that they are trying to control matches so much. They are literally going to try to play keep away from France. And Morocco had some moments where they were able to get the ball and keep the ball, and they had a majority of the possession in the game they lost 3-0, which is very rare. Spain can do that, but also keep the ball better and also create some attacking chances out of it and also defend better when they lose the ball. So we know Spain winning this game probably entails them having 55, 56, 57, 60% of the ball and saying, France, you can't attack us if you never have the ball. That's the plan. France's press, just okay.
True or false, and why? The winner of France-Spain wins the World Cup. Like tomorrow is the final.
I would say it's true, but I would caution people, and this is a comp that I think is kind of funny because I think there's a lot of comps between this and the NBA playoffs, right? I mean, England is the Knicks, right? They haven't won it in forever. They've got the narrative behind them. They've got the feel-good vibes.
The new
Maybe
manager.
They're not as talented. Yes, all these things. And then OKC, right? They're the deep stacked team with the MVP. That's Mbappe in France. Then you've got the newcomers, Spurs, Lamine Yamal, and they're trying to usurp them as the best team in the world. And France is the favorite. But you're like, well, but Spain, they're pretty good. And then they're like, but whoever wins OKC Spurs, like they got the final. And the betting odds for the final will be pretty close to what the odds were for Spurs Knicks. Whoever wins this game is probably going to be just as big of a favorite. And like, I'm not saying that I think England is going to win the World Cup, but I'm saying that like, I don't know, people tend to be overconfident in like a contest that's like 63-37 or like 66 to, they're like a 2-1 favorite. Okay, but like those teams lose all the time. We literally just watched it happen.
Is Brunson in this scenario Kane or Bellingham?
I would say he has to be Bellingham.
So who's
Bellingham's
Kane?
Been the moments guy. Yeah, I don't know. That that gets a little too deep because then you start looking around. You're like, okay, well, England has the 2 stars and the Knicks only really have the 1.
Yeah,
and then like a series of collection of others. But yeah, I would. I don't know. He's not Cat. That would be a little disrespectful to Harry Kane, I think.
I think even Anunoby's disrespectful to Harry Kane, right?
Yeah. So it doesn't really, and then like we can't really talk about it. We need like the Warriors to come into the picture for like the Argentina comp to work.
Well actually, my comp earlier in the show was France is the Warriors. 18 was 15, right? 22 was 16, and now this is 17, and Olise is Kevin Durant in this instance.
Yeah, he comes in and just puts them over the top. Yeah, that's it's a good comp. I mean, Olise, for my money, has been the second best player at this tournament after Leo
Behind?
Messi. So, Leo Messi.
Okay. I think Bellingham's been the best player at the tournament.
No, I can't. Bellingham is a fascinating player, and I wrote about this in my preview, which is up at theringer.com now, or will be up in a matter of moments. He is a very unique player, and it is the perfect player that creates a lot of debate amongst the like deep in the weeds people and then the people who are watching it from afar, because he has these incredible he's a moment.
God, is this like Jaylen Brown? I can't do this. Like, are you like if I have to hear about like VORP or DVOA or like EPA or anything, right? I can't.
He's a number 10, right? He plays in that spot where you traditionally get a lot of creativity for others, and he doesn't do any of that. He's like a pretty good central.
That's okay. He just wins. He just wins the game. It's okay. He just wins the game.
Right.
No problem.
Right. He's a moments player. That's why you have to have him out there. That's why Tuchel like secretly doesn't like him, because he doesn't really fit into the system. But he's like, I gotta play him. He's too good. He makes plays like he did, and you can tell they don't really like each other either. It's a very fun dichotomy. But he's a unique player. He's not a traditional 10 in any sense. He's closer to like a striker, but also a midfielder. He's always around in the penalty area. And honestly, England's worst 45 minutes of the whole tournament were the second half against Norway when they brought Eze in. Eze played in that role that Bellingham had occupied. Bellingham dropped deeper, and they totally lost control of the match, and they couldn't keep possession. And Norway was taking it to them and created the better of the chances in the second half. So, like, it's a weird player that you kind of have to tactically fit for. But yeah, like the moments are insane. He makes these marauding runs into the box. He's more athletic than most of those guys, and he's incredible with the ball at his feet. So you're like, well, you got to have him out there. But the Leo Messi has been the best player this turn. I don't. Anthony
DeBundo on the Ringer on the show at Anthony DeBundo has been amazing covering the World Cup for them. But you know what? There's no great Beatles song called "Hey Leo." So I'll take you.
That's
Bellingham.
true.
I'm guessing, dude. Every time Bellingham, and I bet on England, I'm just like, hey, Jude, it's the best. I'm guessing you agree.
Sad song.
Dude, I'm singing Wonderwall to myself when England take the lead against Norway. It's so good. I'm guessing you agree. I put this on social media. People get mad because it's social media. I think Argentina. And I don't mean this disrespectfully. I think Argentina's clearly 4th of 4 here. Not that they're terrible. I just don't think they're as good as the other 3. I love England. I think France is going to win the tournament, but I'm more confident that England wins in this round than I am that France wins. You're nodding. You like England also. Why do you like England against Argentina? How do you see the game playing out on Wednesday?
Yeah, I mean, look, like the strength of schedule is vastly different here. I mean, having to play Norway in Miami in the extreme heat, having to play Mexico at the Azteca. They had the tougher group with Croatia in the first match. They have shown ceilings that Argentina has not come close to in this tournament. Now, I will say that like England has not exactly been consistent. I mean, they struggled with Congo for the first half. They barely survived a situation in Mexico. They, again, in the second half against Norway on Saturday, were pretty mediocre again. And like just ask Thomas Tuchel. He'll tell you. Don't ask me. Ask Thomas Tuchel. He'll tell you how disappointed he was in the performance at some points of this tournament. But, Argentina hasn't played a team close to this. I mean, Argentina was outplayed for the first hour and 5 minutes before the Embolo red card pretty solidly. Switzerland was tilting the field on them. They controlled the possession. And it's one thing if you're doing that with a lead, you're up 1-0 and you're like, okay, we want to sit here. But they weren't creating anything in transition. They weren't creating anything at all. And then once Switzerland puts the goal in, I'm thinking to myself, wait a second, like they should probably be a toss-up to advance here. Then the red card happens and the game changes and yada yada. But where's the period where I'm supposed to be impressed by Argentina? Because the only good attacking minutes they played in this knockout were the last 20 minutes against Egypt and like a handful of minutes against Cape Verde late on in that match. And both times it was Leo Messi basically putting the team on his back, turning back the clock, and becoming a wide forward because they realized that they have no width on attacking or defending. And so it's like, okay, Messi can like, in a break glass in case of emergency moment, hop over there, create some chances, combine, create more space for the other players to cook in the middle. But that doesn't work against a team as good as England for 90 minutes. That's like we can do this to scrape by against Cape Verde and Egypt and Switzerland when they're down a man, right? So I just don't think it works. And England has the wingers to take advantage of Argentina not having any depth or width. Like Dan and Doy and other these Swiss guys were cooking them. Like I think it's a big Anthony Gordon game. I think it could be a good Saka game if he comes off the bench. There's a lot of advantages the more and more I dig into this matchup for England. And the one advantage for Argentina is they have Leo Messi. And he has the ability with his set pieces where England has struggled defensively with his left foot to just decide games. And maybe he can do it one more time. But I certainly think it's more likely that England is just the much better team with more match winners and they win this match.
Now, let's just say, final thing here. France beat Spain. Argentina beat England. And we get the France-Argentina final for the second consecutive World Cup. France wins that game like 4-1, right? Like France destroys Argentina if that's the final. Destroys them.
It's so funny because there is revisionist history on the last final. Because Argentina destroyed France for 75 minutes.
And then Mbappe did what Mbappe does and pulled it out and got it to extra time and got it to penalties eventually. But Argentina did not, is it fair to say Argentina dominated that game? Is that fair?
Oh my God. Yeah, France's first shot didn't come until the second half.
Do you remember when that game was played? It was on an NFL Sunday morning. I was on the air doing You Better You Bet's countdown to kickoff while I'm sweating a massive pre-tournament wager on Argentina to win the World Cup. That was a great day.
I mean, it was one of the greatest sporting events of my life. I'm not sure we'll ever top that in terms of soccer games. Like the finish, the last 45 to an hour of that match was
the Messi and Mbappe going shot for shot. Basically, it was sick.
And so here's the thing: like France is the better team, and I thought Argentina was the better team going into that final 4 years ago.
Yep, agreed.
Guess what? Like again, these matches are not decided by a whole lot, and so yeah, I think France would be the clear favorite. But would you be shocked if Martinez stood on his head?
Yes,
he had a moment of magic, and it was 2-2 going into extra time.
Yes, if Argentina beat France, I would be that is. I'd be pretty surprised if England beat. Yeah, I guess England's got the ceiling to be able to do it. I don't think it would happen, but I would be shocked if Argentina beat France.
I don't know if England has the gas. That's the thing for me. They look like they're going to run out of gas at any moment. I'm hoping that's not Wednesday, but France and Spain certainly had to exert themselves a lot less and have more depth. If you wanted to be critical of Tuchel, he didn't take the deepest squad here. So France and Spain have depth in numbers. I mean, Cherki, Barcola. Spain's bringing Marino and Williams off the bench. They have Zubamendi. The depth of those teams are way deeper than what England and Argentina has right now, and they'd have to exert themselves less. So you just feel like they'll be fresher on Sunday, and that's probably adds to the advantages. But again, it's one soccer match.
Yeah, dude, and Spain has Marino, maybe relation to Dan, and he just comes in and scores goals and wins games every single game. It's unbelievable. We gotta split here, take a commercial break. You're the best. And Anthony DeBundo, who's been killing it all World Cup long. I'm happy for your success, my man, and we'll catch up soon.
Absolutely.
Our friend Anthony DeBundo joining us here on You Better You Bet. More show on the other side.
Sweet Sinner.
6-7, 7-6, 6-3.
Another forehand crushed. 4 sets of compelling tennis to finish up Wimbledon 2026. A final to remember.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Today, BetMGM players will receive an Any Sport Parlay Boost token. To use the Parlay Boost token, add a parlay wager to your bet slip and activate the token. If you win the wager made with the token, you'll receive extra winnings. Everybody loves that. Download the BetMGM app today and please gamble responsibly. Jannik Sinner, the favorite to win Wimbledon. Jannik Sinner wins Wimbledon yesterday, loses the first set to Alexander Zverev and then wins the next 3. And Jannik Sinner, once again, a major champion. His second consecutive Wimbledon title, now 5 majors in the career for Jannik Sinner. And for Sinner, his first major championship since last year's Wimbledon. And a lot of heartache for Sinner in between major championships. We can go back to the semis at the Australian Open this year, losing to Novak Djokovic, losing in insane fashion to Cerundolo early in the French Open. So obviously it meant a lot to Jannik Sinner winning this major. My problem, though, with Jannik Sinner, and my problem, honestly, and it's not tennis's fault, but with men's tennis as a whole right now, is with Carlos Alcaraz out. And at this point right now, we don't know if Alcaraz is playing at the U.S. Open, where Sinner will be the huge favorite in that tournament as well. Without Alcaraz, it's not really that compelling. Like, at least during the Big 3 era, you had 3 guys that could win any given tournament, in Djokovic, Federer, and Nadal. Now it feels like, and of course, like, things can happen, like Sinner losing. Also, if Sinner loses early, where's the star power? Tennis needs Alcaraz back. Because, like, for as good as Novak Djokovic is playing for the love of the game right now. Because, like, he can't beat Sinner. And I know he did earlier this year, but he even said it after Sinner destroyed him at Wimbledon. We need Alcaraz back, and we need him back for the U.S. Open to make this compelling on the men's side. Final hour, Power Hour coming up next. We'll give you our bets for the Home Run Derby. Talk some NBA as well. Jaylen Brown, LeBron James. And who is the best quarterback in the NFL? I will tell you next.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
I'm going to try this out. First time I've said this. Bring it up, Laura. Final hour. Power hour. You better you bet on Westwood One Sports. Nick Kostos, our amazing crew, and you. The Power Hour and every hour here on You Better You Bet, brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary by downloading the BetMGM app and visiting BetMGM.com. Okay. Movie came out in the 1990s called While You Were Sleeping. It's a stupid romantic comedy with Sandra Bullock. Why am I saying that? I don't know. There's really no good reason to. Because I'm thinking about the fact that while I was on vacation, we have some studio things going on. So our friend Kenny Henderson is part of the show still. Kenny's in the show chat. Kenny's really helping us with a bunch of different things. But Kenny can't run the board anymore, at least for right now, until whatever the hell's going on gets finished, whatever that would, hopefully before all of us die. I have no idea. So Laura is running the show right now out of Culver City. Now, if anyone knows me, which our show crew does, including Bill Zimmerman, who's known me for like 2 decades now, you know that something like this just like really, really sets me off. Not that it makes me angry, but that I get on high alert. New person working on the show, impacting the way the show sounds. How long is it going to take to get this to where I want it to be? These are the things that keep me up at night because I'm sick, and I admit that. I have to be honest. Now, we're not even through the first show. Still have an hour to go in show numero uno for the Nick-Laura partnership. I have to be honest. Laura's done a really nice job. And for me to say that, I think should mean something because I'm hard on everybody. I don't think anyone really does that good a job ever with anything. And I have to say, including myself, by the way, hold myself to that standard. So Laura, look, we gotta finish strong here, Laura. You gotta be Mikel Merino for Spain. You gotta finish strong, but a really nice first 2 hours for Laura running the board. You better you bet here on Westwood One Sports. So thank you to our crew. Great job by everybody today. Still 58 minutes to go. Okay. In this hour, we will give you bets for the Home Run Derby tonight, where I will absolutely be betting Ben Rice because I'm a New York Yankees fan. And I will bet one other player in the Home Run Derby tonight. We'll tell you who that is at the end of the show. We will get to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. He released his list, which is compiled by like a survey he does with 70 coaches, executives, and scouts, ranking top 10 players at positions in the league. He put his top 10 quarterbacks out today. And I have one major beef with that list that I will share with everybody coming up in a little bit on the top 10 quarterbacks. But there has been so much that's happened in the NBA since I went on vacation. And I understand some of it's almost 2 weeks old at this point, but I haven't given my opinion on it on the show. And in case you haven't looked around, there's nothing going on in sports right now. So we go and talk about all of that NBA goodness here, and you will get my opinions for the first time, unless you follow me on Instagram, which you should, at the Kostos, TheKostos. The Jaylen Brown trade, when I saw it 12 days ago, so my vacation had basically just started. When I saw it, the comp that I will give would be the way that I felt when I saw the Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff trade on my phone, which in my, and you know, it doesn't mean it's the big, like the Luka trade is obviously like the one where you're like, this can't be true, right? Luka to the LA Lakers. The Stafford Goff one was the one that I really remember being like, holy bleep. Oh my God. I felt a similar way when I saw this trade come through. Because it's not just Jaylen Brown getting traded. Because Jaylen Brown could have, I know it would, if it would have happened, if it could have, it would have happened. So it's not that I'm saying it almost happened. But this was not like Jaylen Brown going to the Portland Trailblazers, right? That's like not what this was at all. It's not Jaylen Brown going to the Sacramento Kings. It's not even Jaylen Brown going to a team in the Eastern Conference that plays in a different division. Jaylen Brown got traded to the Celtics' greatest Eastern Conference rival. Like, with respect to my Knicks, there's no questioning that historically the Sixers are a much bigger Celtics rival than the Knicks are. Even if the Knicks, you could say, are a better team now and pose a bigger challenge for Boston, like, that's the rivalry in the history of the NBA and the Eastern Conference, is Boston and Philadelphia. So you have that part of it, and you also have the return. Paul George, really, 2 firsts and 2 seconds. Now, there is a financial conversation to be had here, right? And I think we on this show have been ahead of the curve on this. We've been talking about the second apron for a long time on this show, right? And how it's really going to hamper teams financially moving forward. And I think fans, by and large, it's really starting to sink in that you're not going to be able to have teams. I mean, you can do it. Your team's just not going to be very good when you have 2 guys making that gigantic percentage of your cap. Now, Boston had decided, I guess, it'll be all right if it's Giannis. Giannis is a better player than Jaylen Brown. I think that that's the case. But Boston didn't want to move forward with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown occupying that much cap space. So I certainly understand that part of this is cap-driven. I get it. And maybe the Celtics, this was the best that they were going to get. I'm acknowledging that that's possible. Doesn't mean I like the trade. In fact, I hate it. I hate it for the Boston Celtics. And I adore it for the Philadelphia 76ers. And just on the subject of analytics, and I touched on this with Matt Moore last hour, this has been a big topic of conversation in NBA circles over the last few weeks, which is the idea that using advanced statistics, that Jaylen Brown is actually not that good, or at least not good enough to be one of the highest paid players in the league. And I can acknowledge that's true. But we have gone, as fans, as analysts, as people that get paid to talk about sports for a living, we have collectively gone way too far with this. Way too far with this. And this is like when statistics will lie to you, right? Like in the George Orwell book, 1984, reject the evidence of your eyes and ears and believe what the party's telling you. So you can tell me, and you can point to advanced stats, and I'm not going to argue with the numbers and what they say, right? With the numbers saying what they do. And you can say that Jaylen Brown's not that good. And Jaylen Brown's not one of the best players in the league, and Jaylen Brown, there's a fair haul for Jaylen Brown, and that we're going to learn that he's actually not that good. And my response to that is, I watch the games. And I know that he's awesome. And this idea, and I love Matt Moore, who joined us last hour on the show, and I wanted to push back on this, but he was on for 22 minutes. We did a lot on the Jaylen Brown trade and a lot on Jaylen Brown last year. But this idea, I'm sorry. Is this not crazy to anybody else? The Boston Celtics last year won 56 games with Jason Tatum barely playing the entire set. And then when he comes back, he's coming off a torn Achilles. Won 56 games last year. And we really want to do this and say, well, they won 56 games like Jaylen Brown was part of it, but really it's because of, Derek White and Peyton Pritchard and, Hugo and Baylor. I can't say this stuff without laughing. I'm sorry. Here's my question for everyone. Well, the Celtics were better when Jaylen Brown was off the court. Here's my question for you. If you took Jaylen Brown off the Celtics last year, how many games do they win? They're better with him off the court? Okay, what if he doesn't play? How many games do they win? They won 56 freaking games last year. 56. In what everyone, including me, incorrectly thought was going to be a gap year. 56 wins. He was the best player on the team. Almost averaged 30 points per game. And we want to do this thing, well, actually, he's not that good. Like, did we not just watch what happened? This is the NBA equivalent, and I go nuts about this because it was asinine in the moment, and it's become more ludicrous as time has gone on, right? Do you remember Saturday night in September? Do you remember a couple years ago, John Harbaugh, Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, when DVOA and EPA and all the spreadsheets would have you believing that those Ravens teams were not just the best teams in football that year, but these are the best teams in the history of football. And then the calendar would turn to January and they would lose. And you knew they were going to lose. And why did you know they were going to lose? Because they always lose in those spots. And maybe this year it'll be different with the new coach and Jesse Minter in Baltimore. But they always lose in those spots. And I would say it in the moment, like, okay, like you could show me your analytics that say the Ravens are the best team in the league. And then when we get to January and they have to play the Chiefs, let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. Great. That's what this is in the NBA. We are all collectively hand-waving away what Jaylen Brown accomplished last year. Basically like, well, actually, he's not that good. Well, actually, he's not a star player. Well, actually, he's not one of the best players in the league. I don't know about you. I watched the games last year. This dude was awesome. Celtics are better with him when he's off the court. Grow up. Grow up. They won 56 games. Take him off the Celtics. How many games did they win last year? Be honest. Baylor Shireman and Sam Hauser and Hugo and Derek White and Paige, are they winning 50 games? Or was Jaylen Brown far and away the best player on the team and plays in almost every game and plays great defense and he scores the basketball? I'm not interested in these debates. I'm not interested. And look, you want to say, well, the finances made it so that they had to trade him. Like, we can have that conversation because of the way the NBA is structured now with the second apron. We can have that conversation. But the conversation that I'm not going to be a part of is the conversation that Jaylen Brown's actually not that good. Because it shows that, like, you are a spreadsheet monkey if you think that. You're a slave to numbers and a slave to your computer screen and to the algorithm and to VORP and to DVOA and to XFIP and to whatever nonsense you want to create. I'm not interested because I watch the games. And I'm not someone that poo-poos analytics at all. It's just when something is presented in front of your face, when, again, you have to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears, that's when I have a problem with it. That's when I have a problem with it. So this is an A++ trade for the Philadelphia 76ers and an F-— trade for the Boston Celtics. And everyone that's defending the Celtics trade and defending Brad Stevens here, like, I promise, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do mental contortions like you're in Cirque du Soleil. You don't have to bend over backwards for, well, it's Brad Stevens, so I just trust everything he does. No. You know what you sound like? A partner who's been cheated on and is going to defend it and be like, well, actually, well, he still loves me, so it's okay. No, like, you don't have to defend it. It's indefensible. It's horrible. It's a terrible trade. It's a horrible trade for the Celtics. It's a great trade for the Philadelphia 76ers. And their new front office with Mike Gansey and Kevin Pittsnoggle and company. Just kidding, it's only Mike Gansey. Well, what a world we live in, that these names are still around in the year of our Lord, 2026. You bet on this Monday. Nick Kostos and you on Westwood One Sports. So look, as we project this season now in the NBA, if you had to ask me, and I asked Matt Moore this question, I'll ask all of you. Who's going to win more regular season games this year? The Celtics or the Sixers? I think if your answer is Boston, I do think it's a reasonable answer. I think Tatum is better than Jaylen Brown, and I don't mean that as an insult to Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown's awesome, but I think Tatum's better. So now Tatum's in the Brown role, and in theory, all these young players are a year older and should be a year better. Joe Mazzulla's the reigning coach of the year. They are, even if that trade's a brain-dead trade, they're a great organization. The Celtics should roll out of bed and win 50 games this year, assuming health for Jason Tatum, right? Their floor is higher. Boston's floor is higher than Philadelphia's floor. But the ceiling for the Sixers is sky high. Sky high. I'll put it in these terms. I'm a New York Knicks fan, right? So now I am in a position where, like, my team is the hunted as opposed to the hunter. Weird position to be in, but man, it kicks ass. And I think to myself, right, which team right now in the Eastern Conference keeps me up at night, scares me the most? I'll be honest with everybody. Indiana scares the bleep out of me, just because they've had our number, and Halliburton's an ice-cold killer, right? And we'll see what happens when he comes back and what that's going to look like. Indiana scares me. If the Cavs sign LeBron James, Cleveland's scary, for sure. But I think the Knicks are better than Cleveland. I think the Knicks are better than Indiana, even if I admit those teams scare me. The team that scares me the most right now in the East, it's not Giannis and Bam Adebayo punching out teammates in the Miami Heat. It's not Miami. It's not the Atlanta Hawks. It's not the Detroit Pistons. It's not the Orlando Magic. It's the Sixers. Because if and when you get to the playoffs with Philly, and they're healthy, big if, and really the name that we're talking about is Joel Embiid. But if you get there, and he's healthy, and we do the song and dance every year, and he probably won't be, right? But they're stuck with him. And you have Embiid and Maxey and Jaylen Brown and VJ Edgecombe. What if Phylon's good? This team's awesome. They're awesome. That's the team as a Nick, and that's a motivated team. Jaylen Brown with a Liberty Bell-sized chip on his shoulder. That's the scariest team. I'm a Knicks fan. I'm being real with you. The scariest team to me right now in the conference as a Knicks fan is the Sixers. And if you asked me, like, not regular season wins, I understand because the volatility with Embiid. You want to take the Celtics to win more regular season games? Okay. Which team's got a better chance to win the East? Boston or Philly? Betting market says Boston. I think the betting market's wrong. I think it's Jaylen Brown and the Philadelphia 76ers. I love this trade for Philly, and I love this fit for Jaylen Brown. On the other side, we'll talk about LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers and what the Cavs must do if and when they sign LeBron James, and the big problem I have with ESPN's top 10 quarterback list that came out this morning, courtesy of Jeremy Fowler. You Better You Bet rolls on right after this.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
See, Laura is currying favor with me. Even though we're not talking soccer right now, I do love the choice of Wonderwall by Oasis. This segment sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. I was seeing on social media that there's a portion of people that don't think Wonderwall is a good song. Isn't Wonderwall, to the crew, isn't Wonderwall an objectively great song? Who thinks it's not good? It's awesome. Champagne Supernova is really good too. Oasis is a great band. Don't Look Back in Anger is great. Mike Brown says it's overplayed. Yes, as many great songs are. Doesn't mean it's not a great song. Love Wonderwall. I hope to sing it after England beat Argentina on Wednesday and win me a bunch of money with our friends at BetMGM, where England are minus 125 to qualify for the final. So I hope to sing Wonderwall. Hope we get a Jude Bellingham goal. Nah, 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 nah. Nah, 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 nah. Hey, Jude. So we'll be singing hopefully on Wednesday, and then France brings it home on Sunday. I hope in the World Cup final. Allez, les Bleus. More soccer coming up tomorrow on You Better You Bet. For right now, let's talk about LeBron James. It is July 13th, and LeBron James is on vacation. God bless him. Matt Moore on the show with us last hour. And Matt, and you know this if you've listened to the show or watched the show for any period of time, because Matt comes on all the time. Matt is significantly plugged in when it comes to the NBA. And Matt said, and he's not reporting it, nothing's 100%, but Matt said that he believes LeBron to the Cavs is a done deal. And if he didn't say that verbatim, that was essentially what he said. And that mirrors what a lot of people have said. And I saw on social media while I was on vacation, Bill Simmons of The Ringer, who's obviously really plugged in as well, saying that it's basically a done deal. LeBron's been using the Warriors as leverage. The Warriors, it should go noted, yesterday hired Frank Vogel to be an assistant for Steve Kerr. Vogel obviously coached the Lakers in the bubble when the Lakers won their only championship with LeBron. Steph Curry, publicly recruiting LeBron. Draymond Green doing anything in his power, trying to avoid getting the crap kicked out of him by Udonis Haslem. But also, if you haven't seen that, please look that up on the internet. That's a pretty delicious story. Draymond's doing everything he can, reportedly, to get LeBron to Golden State. But it feels like LeBron's going back to Cleveland, which would be awesome. And I say that even as a Knicks fan, where, LeBron obviously makes the Cavs a lot better. If and when it happens, and it feels like at this point now, we are more at the when stage than the if stage, while acknowledging crazy things happen all the time. No one thought he was signing with Miami in 2010. No one even really expected him to go back to Cleveland when it happened. But let's just speak about this as if it's going to happen, while acknowledging it might not. And LeBron signs with the Cavs and finishes his career where it started, where he grew up. Two things need to happen. The first, and I know Matt said James Harden's not going to come off the bench and Harden's going to start, and it's going to be Harden, LeBron, Mitchell, and then the two bigs, Mobley and Allen. I don't like a Cleveland Cavaliers team where at the end of big games, and this is less a regular season thing than it is a postseason thing, right? Because if James Harden's doing the James Harden thing, like James Harden saying he is the system, the Cavs are going to win a lot of regular season games. They are. They're too talented. They're going to go to the playoffs. This is a playoff conversation. That when you get to the ends of these playoff games, and think about the series against the Knicks, and I even said this more as a hypothetical. I'll say it again now. Now, we have the benefit of hindsight now. The Knicks beat the Spurs. They won the NBA championship. So I think it's safe to say the Knicks would have won the series no matter what. But the Knicks, obviously I was at the game 1 with the huge comeback, and then they smoked the Cavs games 2, 3, and 4. What if you took James Harden off the Cavs and you put LeBron James on the Cavs for that series? So LeBron is basically handling the ball instead of Harden in these big spots. How does the series go? I think the Knicks still win, But it's the Cavs don't get swept. And I think the series is way closer if LeBron replaces Harden. So if LeBron signs with Cleveland, if you told me I don't care about a Tuesday night in November against the Charlotte Hornets, I don't care about a Thursday night in February against the Boston Celtics, I care about May against the New York Knicks or against the Philadelphia 76ers. Who has the ball in his hands at the end of the game making decisions for the Cavs? It has to be LeBron James. Absolutely has to be. Cannot be James Harden. Because if it's Harden, they're going to lose. You're going to lose if it's James Harden. How do we know that? Here's 20 years that says it. 20 years of past results that say it. I want to know if it's LeBron, that LeBron's going to have the ball in his hands at the ends of these games. That's the first thing, if LeBron signs with Cleveland. The second thing, who's coaching the Cavs after they fire Kenny Atkinson? If you think that Kenny Atkinson is making it through the season coaching this Cavs team, if they sign LeBron James, I got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you. There's no way. There's no way. Kenny Atkinson embarrassed himself in the Eastern Conference Final. Embarrassed himself, right? How about in the opening series? They went 7 against Toronto, and then if Detroit had been more ready for primetime, they would have lost to Detroit. Because not only did the Cavs get their lunch handed to them by Jalen Brunson and the Knicks, but Kenny Atkinson had the gall to say that, like, actually analytics say that we're winning this series. Like, could you imagine? You're not calling timeouts as the Knicks came back in game 1. Like, it was brutal. You think LeBron James in his final season is going to be cool with all of this? Like LeBron is going to be cool with, yeah, actually, we got swept, but we were better. You think LeBron's going to be cool with that? Like, stop it. Like, come on. Really? So Kenny Atkinson can start the year for the Cavs as the coach. Who's going to be the Cavs coach after they fire him? Those two questions I want answered if and when the Cavs sign LeBron James. Who's handling the ball late in playoff games and making the biggest decisions? Needs to be LeBron. And who's going to coach the team after they fire Kenny Atkinson? You bet on this Monday. Nick Kostos and you on Westwood One Sports. Let's work some National Football League into the show. A couple weeks away from training camps. And this week we'll do some college football on the show as well, because I'm starting to get really fired up for college football. Spent some time at the beach yesterday thinking about, as one does, Texas with Sark and Arch, Cam Coleman, thinking about LSU and Lane Kiffin, and thinking about CJ Carr and Notre Dame. Is Notre Dame the best team this year in college football? You know they're going to the playoff. It's basically written in the bylaws now. Notre Dame has to be in the playoff. So we'll do some college football later this week on the show. I'm really excited for that. But a lot of props go to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. And just so people know how the content game works, it is not an accident that to start All-Star Week in Major League Baseball, when, aside from the World Cup, like, ain't nothing going on, that Monday morning to start this week in sports, ESPN releases top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. Courtesy of Jeremy Fowler, does a great job with the series every year. This is the 7th year, I think, that he's done it. And it is not like his opinion, his top 10 quarterbacks, but he polls anonymously a list of 70 coaches, executives, and scouts. Now, I have no idea. It could be one coach, one executive, and 68 scouts. I have no idea. No idea how it goes. But we have the list, courtesy of ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. And I think that people will have issues with it, because of course people will, right? And I don't even mean that as a bad thing. So here is the top 10. Josh Allen's number 1. Patrick Mahomes, number 2. Reigning MVP, Matthew Stafford is 3rd. Joe Burrow, 4th. Lamar Jackson, 5th. Dak Prescott, 6th. Justin Herbert, 7. Drake May, we love the Drake. Drake May, 8. Jared Goff, 9. And Caleb Williams is 10. Just missing the cut, Sam Darnold, Jaden Daniels, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, Trevor Lawrence, and Jalen Hurts. I have a couple small beefs with this list and one big one. I understand why Jaden Daniels isn't on the list and Jalen Hurts is not on the list. I get it after the way last season went. The Hurts Eagle stuff is a debacle to the point that they trade A.J. Brown, fire the offensive coordinator. The offense was terrible. And I have said, and I think it's true, that this could be Jalen Hurts last year in Philadelphia. I think he's going to be awesome. But I'm acknowledging reality. That if Jalen Hurts does not have a good season in Philadelphia this year, this could very well be his final season as an Eagle. I think that is very much in the realm of possibility. Jaden Daniels, in his rookie year, was a top 5 quarterback in the league. And I get it. Last season was a train wreck for the Commanders. And Jaden Daniels was hurt for a lot of it. So I get Daniels and Hurts not being in the top 10. My strong sense is that this time next year, when Jeremy Fowler drops the top 10, both those names will be back on it in Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts. Now, this isn't me being like, well, Jared Goff sucks. He shouldn't be on it. I don't think he should be in the top 10, but I understand. I think Caleb Williams was good enough last year to merit this. Drake May almost won MVP. I'm a bigger Dak Prescott fan than most. I think most of the list is fine. One small quibble. I don't think Matthew Stafford should be above Joe Burrow. And if you asked Sean McVay, and this is not like 5 years from now when Stafford's retired, if you asked Sean McVay who he would rather have this season, just for this year, Stafford or Burrow, who do you think he'd take? So Burrow's better than Stafford. I don't think there's any question about that. My big beef with this list is that Patrick Mahomes is not number one. Now, I have to be real, right? Because in one breath, I just told you, I get why Daniels and Hurts aren't on the list because of the way, in the top 10 because of the way last year went. So I also have to then acknowledge, I understand why Mahomes does not occupy the top slot. Like, I see the rationale being, well, Allen went to the divisional round, the Chiefs missed the playoffs, and Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL towards the end of the year, and I think he's playing week 1, Monday Night Football at home against Denver, but we'll see, right? He's coming off a serious injury. So I understand it, right? But I strongly disagree with it. And this goes back to something we talk about a lot on the show, and something we talked about with Jaylen Brown in the last segment, right? Where you are asked sometimes as a sports fan, and I'm talking to you, the person watching and listening, directly to you right now. You love sports. You love the National Football League, right? You love it. It's everybody's favorite, including mine. Do you believe, sincerely, I'm talking to you, do you believe in your heart of hearts that Josh Allen's better than Patrick Mahomes? Do you believe that? I'll ask the question a different way. Now, hopefully this never happens, because this is the kind of stuff that horror movies are made of. If your life was on the line and you needed one quarterback to win the game for you at the end, and I gave you Patrick Mahomes on one side and Josh Allen on the other, who are you taking? Be honest. Be honest. Be honest. Can you? Can you be honest? Even if you hate the Chiefs, even if you hate Patrick Mahomes, in the same way that you hated Tom Brady and you hated the New England Patriots, right? I get it. You hate the Chiefs. I get it. You're tired of Kansas City. I get it. You reveled in the Chiefs' misery last year. I understand. It all makes sense. But you can't say that Mahomes is not the best, even with the way last year went. Because, and I understand, because your counter to this will be, well, Allen made the playoffs. And you're right. Mahomes has also won 3 Super Bowls and been to 5. Okay? Meanwhile, Josh Allen can't get past Championship Sunday. And lost last year in the divisional round in a game that it is, like we're now, 6 months removed from that game? How inexcusable is it that the Bills lost that game in Denver? How ridiculous is it that Buffalo lost that game on the road in Denver? And Josh Allen fumbling the game away. Seriously. How many times do we have to... I joked, and they had to fire Sean McDermott, because it's gotten to the point now that when the Bills lose in the playoffs, it's like the English patient. Here's 2 hours and 40 minutes of Buffalo playoff failures led by Josh Allen. And none of this doesn't mean that Josh Allen's not great. I think he's number 2. So he's magnificent. He's great. But he's not better than Pat. He's not. Rashee Rice said it best, and Rashee Rice doesn't say a lot of good things or make a lot of good decisions. But after the Chiefs, one of the times that Kansas City beat Buffalo in the playoffs, 4-0. Chiefs, Mahomes head-to-head beat Josh Allen in the play. Great. Josh Allen beats him in October and November. Swell. What happens in January? When the Chiefs went into Buffalo, the one time Buffalo hosted the game in the divisional round and beat them, do you remember what Rashee Rice said when he was asked about it? The difference between the two quarterbacks. And Rashee Rice kind of laughs and goes, Pat's better than Josh. What do you want to say? What do you want me to say? He's right. He's right. Mahomes is better than Josh Allen. And that's not an insult to Josh Allen. It's in the same way, is it an insult to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander if you say Jokic is better than him? No. Jokic is legendary. Josh Allen is going to the Hall of Fame when it's all said and done. Even if he never wins a Super Bowl, he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. He's been great. He's a Hall of Fame caliber player. Not saying he stinks. He's not Mahomes. And I'll ask the question again. If you could only pick one, who are you taking? If you're down by 4 in a playoff game with 2 minutes to play, which quarterback would you rather have slinging the football? Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen? If you're being honest, the answer to that question is Patrick Mahomes. If you're being honest. You don't have to be if you don't want to, but I will be. And I feel very strongly that Jalen Hurts will be back on this list at the end of the year. And just one note on Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. You remember when we had Dan Quinn on the show about 3 weeks ago, right? We had Commanders head coach Dan Quinn on the show. And I asked him, and I knew he wasn't going to answer the question, and we had a good laugh about it. I think, Bill, what was the line that he said? He appreciated my effort or something? Appreciated the question? When I asked him about Brandon Ayuk, and, he said I was competing, which was a great line. And kind of hey, the skill positions seem a little shallow. And he's well, let me tell you about the offensive line. He knows. So outside of Terry McLaurin right now, the Commanders wide receiving group, and this matters for Jaden Daniels this year, and it matters for fantasy football as well. The Commanders wide receiving group behind Terry McLaurin is Treylon Burks, one-time, draft bust of the Tennessee Titans, and maybe he can resuscitate his career to some degree. Rookie Antonio Williams, who seems like he's a slot-only player. Jalen Lane, Luke McCaffrey, De'Ami Brown. This is... No one's looking at this and seeing Art Monk anywhere on this team, or Gary Clark anywhere on this team, right? The Commanders desperately need a second option in the passing game. And maybe you want to say it's Chigakonkwo, the tight end they signed away from Tennessee. Maybe you'd like a number 2 receiver, right? We all kind of thought it's going to be Brandon Ayuk. The problem, as I've said on this show, is that Brandon Ayuk is crazy. And he's not crazy in the way that you meet someone who's a little off and you be like, that dude's crazy. No. Brandon Ayuk is the type of crazy person that you meet and you think, wow, that. Now I know what crazy actually is. He's got a screw loose. And honestly, I kind of think I don't know him or anything. Kind of seems like he needs to talk to someone, right? I'm not trying to be rude or mean. He's crazy, right? Feuding with Jaden Daniels. It's what's happening is banana land with Brandon Ayuk. So let's say the Niners cut him today. Let's say that happens. Do you think the Commanders should sign him? Is anyone going to sign him? So we have basically all thought this entire offseason, right? I thought it. Brandon Ayuk's going to be a commander. He's going to play with Jaden Daniels again, and he'll solve their number 2 receiver problem. I don't think that's happening now. So now what happens if you're Washington? You sign Stephon Diggs. They should have done it yesterday. Stephon Diggs publicly said this weekend he's the best number 2 receiver in the league. Whether or not that's true or not, like, he is still a good receiver. And even if he's kind of crazy also, he's not crazy in the way Brandon Ayuk's crazy. The Commanders have to sign Stephon Diggs, and really, they should do it today. Bill Zimmerman is here, our executive producer, with the trivia question of the day after 2 weeks off. Bill, do you do trivia when I'm not here?
No, we don't do trivia without you, Nick. We like showcasing you with your trivia talent.
Okay, there are a lot of ways I could go with that. I will take none of them. What is the trivia question today, Bill?
How about we try a little home run derby trivia? How are you up on your home run derby? It's not that difficult.
I'll try my best. I have to be honest. Like, I don't really care about the event. I'm being honest, but I will try and answer it.
All right. Well, we'll start with a one that I think you'll get. It's pretty easy. Who has won the most career home run derbies?
Griffey, right?
Ken Griffey Jr. And I'll give you a bonus one. Can you name who hit the most home runs in one single home run derby? I'll give you a hint. It was 91 in one derby.
Yeah, and he didn't win the derby.
That is true.
And it was at Yankee Stadium. This is where you say yes.
I believe so, but I don't remember exactly.
It's Josh Hamilton.
It is. Oh, it is not Josh Hamilton.
It isn't.
But this player did not win the Derby either. He lost it to Pete Alonso. If that helps.
Oh, so this is recently. Oh man,
yeah, 2019.
What team?
Blue Jays. That gives it away.
Vlad.
Yes, Vlad Jr. 91 in one.
Can I ask you a trivia question?
If it's about the home run derby, I won't get it. But
if Ben Rice wins the home run derby tonight, he will become the 4th Yankee to win. Name the other 3.
Stanton won one. I'm not sure.
Judge
did win one. Okay, I wasn't sure if Judge.
Do not type in the chat if you know the answer, guys. I think I have the 3rd, but I actually might be wrong. I believe it was Il Colmo Dulce, Bobby Abreu is sweet as candy. Is that really? I think it's Bobby Abreu.
Did Giambi ever win one?
Oh, Abreu was on the Phillies when he won. Tyler read about that. Damn it. I loved Abreu on the Yankees. Anyway, we desperately have to take a break. So we'll answer that question on the other side, the question that I asked, and give you our bets for the home run derby right after this.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Fun for a show back in the saddle. Thanks to our guests on the show, Matt Moore and Anthony DeBundo. Thanks to Bill. Thanks to Tyler. Thanks to Kenny. Thanks to Mike. Thanks to Dan. And thanks to Laura. Today, BetMGM players will receive an Any Sport Parlay Boost token. To use the Parlay Boost token, add the parlay wager to your bet slip and activate the token. If you win the wager made with the token, you'll receive extra winnings. Download the BetMGM app today, and please gamble responsibly. I was wrong on my Yankees home run derby knowledge, which makes me sad. Tino Martinez, 97. The Giambino in 2002. Don't you know, Robbie Cano in 2011. Stanton, 16. Judge, 17. Laura, please drop the dope-ass beat, and I'll tell you if I think Ben Rice adds his name to the list tonight. Well, I'm a Yankee fan, so I will be betting Ben Rice to win the home run derby. Even if, Schwarber's probably just going to win, right? 32 homers at the break, home ballpark. Schwarber or Harper. I will bet Ben Rice, small bet on him for something to root for because I'm a Yankee fan. And if you watch the show, you know I have Japanese sleeve tattoos. I love Japan. How about a couple bucks on Munetaka Murakami as well? All right, we'll catch everybody tomorrow on a terrific Sports Tuesday. Until then, Nick Kostos wishing you minimal sweats winning bets, the absolute very best.
This is